Okay, let's get started. Very warm welcome to our talk. Good afternoon. And we want to take you on a journey this afternoon. And we as Tobias Lange, colleague of mine, working on R&D on software products for Mercedes-Benz. And myself, I'm Matthias Schneider. I'm in charge of the IT organization at Mercedes, supporting our R&D teams, folks around the globe with the latest and greatest tools and platforms. I have a long... Thank you. Didn't expect that so early. I have a long history with the company, and I worked for many years in the company on the R&D side, developing software for cars, working on software for cars. And I felt the pain, how difficult it is for, on the one hand, for an automotive company, a car company, to become also a software company, not only a hardware company, and how difficult it is to start developing software, great software for a great customer experience in such a traditional engineering-driven world. And I've changed roles 2 years ago, switched from the R&D side to the IT side, and now supporting our R&D teams with the right tools, but also with the mission to blur that line between R&D and IT, because I believe the skill sets, the talents we have in the organizations are so similar, and we are more and more working in agile models like collab art Tobias is representing here, jointly together. So the organizational silos are more and more blurring, and I'm super excited to see that. Now let's start that journey. What you see here is the interior of our latest product, of our GLC, our SUV we have shown to the world at the IAA in Munich a couple of weeks ago. And this is the interior, the look. And if you look at that brilliant, huge screen, almost 1 meter of screen, full of pixels, it's something I've worked on when I was still working on R&D, how to fill these huge screens with meaningful and exciting content for our customers. Now, the product is there, and I see it's very well received. It's a great product, but at the same time, we are under a huge pressure. The auto industry, as you all know, is under enormous pressure from new competitors from Asia, from China, that are currently, we have to be honest, leading the pace, leading the way in terms of speed when it comes to software and when it comes to really tech products. So we are under pressure there, and we have to face that and tackle that. So at the same time, we embarked on that journey a couple of years ago and said, okay, we have to become from a hardware-defined, hardware-driven company also a software-driven company. We have to learn how to develop software. We have to learn how to integrate hardware and software in such great products, how to integrate software for such a screen in that car. And that was just quite a journey. And that journey, that learning journey, correlates really well with our journey we had and have with Atlassian together. I've worked myself more than 10 years ago in our R&D lab in Silicon Valley, started to build up one of our first in-house software teams, and we started to use the Atlassian products at the time. So more than 10 years ago at very small scale. And each team had their own instance, their own version of Jira and Confluence, because it was just the tool to go to. If I look where we are now, how many users we had. At the time, we had 10, 20, 15 users per project. All of a sudden, we had hundreds of projects. If I see where we are now, it's really on enterprise level. And that journey we want to bring close to you, explain to you in today's session. So we will talk about what's the destination. I talked about already the challenges we are facing and the competition we are facing, and what does that mean for defining our destination. At the end, it's becoming much faster, much more efficient, and drive real customer value. Not focus on internal processes, but delivering customer value. And we are navigating that journey and have also an outlook what's still ahead of us. So defining the destination, let's start with that. If we want to know where we are going. This is our current footprint, what we are seeing here. So if you would have asked me 10 years ago, that we will have 50,000 users using Jira or Confluence, I would have never believed that. We start with 10, 15, 20 users. Now we are at that scale, 260 locations and partners, and more than 6,000 Jira projects and Confluence spaces. So it has grown to a huge dimension, and that growth, that journey was not as seamless and easy as it looks like. And we want to take you now on that journey. Now, Tobias, can you tell us some more details about it?
Yeah, so I guess Matthias is like one of that person like created those 400 data center instances we have or we found during our journey. So I think maybe that's like one of that. So we started with like small with the Atlassian ecosystem, and then we were like seeing, oh, that tool is awesome, and it's growing very fast. But I think you know that if you miss like that part of governance and strategic alignment, your data centers are like just going to, let's say, be not performant anymore. And we had like old ways of working, and there was like no common alignment on like what are we going to do with that thing, like with Jira and Confluence and stuff like that. And of course, data centers, you know, we have a lot of operations. If you're growing fast and you're not tackling architectural decision, governance. So data centers there, and of course, I have my colleagues here handling the updates. It's always a pain. So, and I think coming back to the strategic topics, I think Matthias was talking about transformation. We are not like just only transforming the company into a software development company. We are also transforming how we are working together. And I think we are standing side by side with IT and R&D. And what helps us to like align on a common strategy or like a common goal is actually strategy. And Matthias is having a great impact on how we drive the company.
Yes, let's take a look at our strategy, how we handle IT nowadays, or how we want to strategically align. We have structured that in 5 tech levers. And they may sound very simple, but I will walk you through them and explain you what does it mean for us. And let me start maybe with the basis. Best IT powered by best team. At the end, it's really people, it's teams working together in teams like the Collab Art, having that common vision. That's the basis. That's the basis for everything, that you really have a great team, that you support the team, and that you remove obstacles and really bring them together.
Silos, yeah.
Now, first one, and we call it rock solid operations, and that's for a car maker like us, the basis. If our platforms, if our IT systems are down, our production is down, our R&D is down, and you probably read about the incident at JLR, Land Rover, due to a cyber attack. They had really a severe impact. So this is the basis for everything. Have a rock solid base for our platforms and our tool chain. Second, radical standardization. And here again, our Atlassian story perfectly addresses that. We started with many small instances of Jira, Confluence projects. Everybody had their own plugins. They installed whatever they felt like is the right thing for their individual team. And we had basically no governance and no standardization. That worked really well as long as the teams were small and we are in a kind of startup mode with 50,000 users and 6,000 projects. That doesn't work anymore for us. We need that level of standardization to keep the pace. Then tech frontrunner is the third pillar. And we will talk more about how we use already Rovo and AI today in our development process. So we have to be at the forefront, and the tools we want to use, they have to bring that leading edge technology, and Rovo is for us a really great example. And fourth, and for me most important pillar is at the end, we have to get faster. We are challenged as a car industry, we are challenged as a company. At the end, we have to deliver our business faster, and whatever we do in IT has to support at the end the business. We are not doing IT for the sake of doing IT. We have to provide IT solutions that make us, at the end, make the R&D teams, and at the end, our entire development cycle faster. So let's navigate the journey. Destination is set. Vision is set. Let's get onto the journey now. Tobias.
Let's get our hands dirty. So it was like 2022. We had a decision to make. Can we go in cloud? Are we like ready yet? And there was a decision on like, we cannot like go full on cloud. We cannot like, let's say, bring our software development teams into trouble like with going on cloud and maybe missing some puzzle pieces. As you know, like cloud 3 years ago was maybe not that ready yet. And so we started with like going into cloud and like deciding on like splitting into 2 data centers for several reasons. And like our first cloud migration was done in waves. So it took us like 9 months, 4 weeks waves. So that was like user acceptance tests, migrating, fixing things and going there. On the other side, the data center, we had just like migrated in a big bang manner. And we're there. So check mark, end of 2023. Hey, we made it partially on cloud, and we actually made like 30% of our Jira projects out of that common data center we had. The data center what was like had to sundown that. 40% of our Confluence spaces and 30K users in the cloud. Yeah, that was like our first like footprint in the cloud, starting there, starting the journey there. And we were happy with like the 2 data centers. We were happy with the cloud users. Cloud was more focused on like task and project management, and the data centers were software development. But then there was a bunch of people, and I think that's also like a evidence of our transformation, how good it is, and like finding the best team. We started to think of, hey, let's take that chance. We are transforming right now, and we're getting the support from Matthias, from every management, like upper management, to change the world. And yeah, in 2024, we founded the Collaboration Art, like short collab. It's basically a bunch of awesome people working together for the complete Atlassian ecosystem, but not like classic IT silo, and there are people like using those tools. The Collab Art is like a full stack art driving Atlassian tool set, but also changing the system of work, how we work together. We have a agile transformation going on in the company, speeding up with that stuff. So that's the full stack Collab Art, which is pretty nice versus like classical, traditional IT and stuff like that. And well, we said it doesn't make sense to have like 3 platforms with Atlassian. Let's go on one platform. Let's go all in. We are ready now. We like lessons learned are taken. Let's go there. And yes, we started planning for Confluence because we thought Confluence, well, we can easily migrate that. In the end, it was not that easy, but we made it 6 months, like shorter time, migrating in 3 weeks waves because we were fast on like doing that stuff, also improved migration process stuff. And yes, now we are here on stage facing like the next 3 months with like some uncertainty, but we are going full in by the end of this year. We want to have our data centers done and be on cloud by the end of the year. So what do you think?
I have to, it sounds too easy. Sorry, I have to jump in here. It would be way too easy.
You think so?
Yes. I mean, of course, there were some executive questions. And I've asked some of them, and when Tobias explains it now, it sounds so seamless. Of course, there were doubts and questions in the company. What about data loss? What about security? How do we make sure we do not have a data breach there? Second, I asked, is Atlassian ready for such an enterprise endeavor? Can we trust Atlassian at that scale? Do we have the necessary resources and support? So the team got a lot of critical questions, and the journey was by far not that easy as it sounded here now on the slide. So these were questions we heavily discussed. But at the end, we consciously decided, yes, let's take on that challenge. We saw at the end the potential benefits, the real benefits of moving to the cloud. And that's what, at the end, drove us to that conscious, not easy, conscious decision. Yes, we want to go all in on cloud. And yes, also as a management team, we stand behind that. Because at the end, we see the possibilities, having one platform, having a much faster innovation pace, having new features available on one platform. Of course, cost efficiency, we are under huge cost pressure. And if you look at how much we have been able to reduce our operations team on the cloud side, it's enormously. We will see some numbers in a second. And also security and governance. I talked about governance before. We need more governance. We had to reduce the level of freedom and security, cybersecurity, making sure we have always the right patches installed is something which is essential if you think about our first pillar, rock solid operations. So how did we get user buy-in, Tobias?
Well, that's a tricky part, I guess. You know, like people don't want to get changed. You actually like need to take them with you on that journey, like having that clear vision where we want to be at, how we want to transform the company. And yeah, we did it like, we had to show them what are the possibilities, what are the benefits there, what are they gaining. Of course, they are losing something, and they have to, let's say, change a little bit their way of working. But it's like for a common vision and it's in the end for the company to drive that forward, right? And we had also the possibility to choose like what is like the best time to migrate your project, to migrate your, let's say, development team to the cloud, to have like all the benefits there. So that was like a first enabler for getting the user buy-in on that part. So, and yeah, how did we get there? Migration is always about preparation, but also taking the chance to change something, to make something that is not working, make it better, merge something, change workflows. But also, like one key enabler, of course, is like we saw a huge, let's say, growing partnership, a strong partnership with Atlassian that helped us a lot to pull the right strings there or like talk to the right people. How should we do that stuff? And of course, I saw some guys there. A solution partner on your side is always a good choice to to be supportive there. And I guess, yeah, that was a first statement handing over to you because it's a colleague of Matthias on a management level. It's actually like my upper management in the line work from R&D.
So, as it stated there, the migration happened so silently. I mean, usually I get the calls when things go wrong. Then I get the escalation calls. This migration, I did not get a single call. I just get the success stories, and nobody called me, which is for me the best sign I can get, and that quote reflects that really nicely. So what are we using now? How does our platform look like? We are not using the full suite of products yet. The majority of our work is really Jira and Confluence based. And we are using more and more Rovo as our AI solution. And there, I believe we are just scratching the surface. But let me give you an example how we use Rovo, for instance. You can imagine if you test software for a car, we have fleets of test cars out there in the final phase all over the globe. We have probably hundreds of prototype cars doing final field testing. And they write tickets, they come back with their results, they find issues. That gets all fed into the platform, and we have to go through the triaging process of these defects to really prioritize them and bring the right defects to developers. That has to happen in very short time. It's very compressed, so you have, I don't know, 3-4 days of test driving. Every night data is being uploaded. And you will find so many duplicates of tickets because test drivers, the obvious problems everybody finds. So you have really tons and tons of duplicates. I remember times where we had duplication rates of 80%, 90% of defects had been rejected because they are duplicates. And it was mostly manual work to identify those, or it took the developer at the end to say, this is a duplicate of that. This we can do now with Rovo. At least have a great assistant there helping us to identify these duplicates and filter them out and only bring the ones which are really relevant to the triaging team and to the developers. So early wins, better for everybody. Tobias, why want to walk us through those?
Sure. So obviously, like the feature set and all the downsides of a data center, it's just better for everybody, right? Better for the users. But also like on our side, admins do not like have to switch like between data centers. It's just like one site, one org, administration effort, which is awesome. And in the end, like we are able, or we are still like able to streamline like costs. And in the end, it's like just better for the business with changing like the way we are working together, or also like on the cost side. So that's basically like that full enablement there with like having that big step towards the cloud in the end. And yeah, I think that's one slogan here we just put there. We want to be 10 times faster in development. And I think,
I mean, 10x, when we started with that slogan, it's a typical, you could say, a typical management slogan, 10 times as fast. And now looking backwards, we realize there are real examples where we achieved a 10x performance improvement, where we are really 10 times as fast, and we achieved that vision that we gave ourselves when we embarked on that journey. So really unbelievable gain in performance in speeds, no downtimes again. Rock solid operations is super important for us. Cross-team collaboration, having setups like the Collab Art is for us really success story that will also then lead to the real benefits for the user. And at the end, as I said, end-to-end acceleration, it's about getting innovations to the customers faster. So having self-service, automation, robo, and things like that helps us to focus the limited development capacity really on the meaningful, on the value-add tasks and not on routine tasks like ticket triaging and identifying duplicates of tickets.
Have you seen, like, we collected some quotes there, and that's actually a quote I brought in there. I had a tricky meeting, a really tricky meeting with like some project. They were like, why should I move? What do I like expect there, and why should I like just do that? And after like that topic, like show, don't tell, we were like seeing all the possibilities and how that comes together in the end. That was like the last sentence, like end of the meeting. Like, when can we migrate? Because we will be able to do so much more. It was like mainly also focused on Robo, because that guy finally saw the awesome possibilities we do have in the cloud to drive things further. So that was like my favorite statement there from a project which was not easy to move to the cloud. And yeah, as we were talking about, or Matthias was talking about, hey, it's actually like operational costs and stuff like that. It's also better for us, you know. We shifted 80% of our load capacity from maintaining things, fixing things, updating things, investigations on like what is wrong with our setup. Yeah, we should just save that. And if you're saving 80% of your work time, you can actually do better, right? You can focus on things. You can focus on like talking to our customers and bring everything forward in the end. So I think, and also the statement on the last slide, like equipped for innovation. We are like now there on that, let's say, step towards a future where we can enable a lot of things we are not able to imagine just on our data centers in the end. And that's basically there. And I think the next slide is also a quote from a colleague on our side that reflects actually Mehmet. Unfortunately, we were losing Mehmet, but we will have him back on Atlassian side. So yeah, other companies are.
I mean, that quote basically summarizes it quite nicely. Focus on value add task. Focus on the customer value, and not on potential downtimes or other struggles. So at the end, I mean, the manager role, I also have to look always from the business side, of course. At the end, it's about innovation and product development time. We have to get significantly faster, and therefore the Atlassian tools is a big help for us. Better containment of cost. With one platform, it's much easier for us to control cost. If you remember, I told you at the beginning, we had so many small little projects where teams just swiped their credit card and spun up their own version. That's not controllable, not manageable on enterprise level. So we have much better control, and then rock solid security and compliance. I think we touched that already. Super essential to keep our business going. One more quote here. We have to enable R&D, support, and all our teams. Collaboration is much easier, collaboration between the different organizations, but also within R&D. If you imagine a car today, if you look at such a car, this is super complex device in the meantime, where it's about integrating hardware and software from various divisions, various departments. You need a seamless collaboration platform between those teams. It's if you just work in your silos and within your individual ECU in your control unit, it's super difficult to integrate at the end. You need a collaboration platform that allows you, really to collaborate along the functional architecture, along the system architecture, not along the organizational silo. And therefore, our MCP platform, our Atlassian platform, is a great tool on that journey.
I know that guy. Yeah.
A quote from me. We were really not sure, is Atlassian Enterprise ready? Can we go to the cloud at that scale? Now we are 80–90% through it. I would not call it final success yet. Devil is in the detail, and the journey lasts until end of that year. But we are confident enough to say now, yes, we'll manage it. We'll manage it also at that scale, and we know we have a strong partner with Atlassian with us. We are not on our own on that journey. It's really a joint collaboration between our internal organizations as well as with Atlassian and us. And again, if I think back 10, 12 years back when I started, I would have never thought I would stand on a stage at the Atlassian conference or at the software conference at all as an auto company starting to embark on the journey to become also a software company. And now 12 years later, we are here on stage and telling our story and experience. It's quite a journey for us as a company, but also for me personally, I have to say. But we are not there yet. There's something still ahead of us. So let's see what's still ahead of us.
So yeah, I was talking about potentials like we have in the cloud, right? So right now we're not using the full tool stack because we are not fully there yet. But what we will like very soon next year look into in detail is like Compass, using Compass, how we can use Compass in the end for our development journey. Talking about strategy and alignment like across the organization, like people knowing why I'm working for something in the end, like adding a portion of focus in the end. And my favorite topic, and we just briefly discussed like the potentials there, like if you talk about like the teamwork graph and external graphs and Rovo and AI, it's always like you start thinking, hey, if we do this, we can do that, and we can do this. And all of a sudden, you're like just covering a full software development life cycle powered by AI, helping you a lot to drive even faster and get something delivered, right?
And it's for me, it's even more than the software development life cycle. It's the car is at the end. It's a complex system of hardware and software. It's also the interdependencies of software and hardware, which we have to manage, which we have to look at, and we have to understand. And therefore, we have really good hope or expectation that things like the teamwork graph can really help us manage these dependencies. If you think of, let's say, take a brake, a disc brake, if somebody changes the diameter or dimensions of such a mechanical brake, it has an effect on an ECU. Somebody has to change a parameter somewhere in the software to still be ready for certification. Maybe we have to recertify, we have to submit our certification documents, run certain tests again. Those kind of dependencies to understand and to model between hardware and software, the hardware world, the digital twin hardware world, and the software world. Managing those dependencies and accelerate the process, navigating through that is where we see the big potential and what we will invest in and look in really at in the next phase to really accelerate.
I really invest there. So like coming to one of our last slides, so top lessons learned like to overcome all those challenges is like having a clear vision, setting a clear vision for us and there, and bringing together a winning team. And winning team is actually, sorry to take that, is also like having all the support from Atlassian together. And I want to mention also the support account management program, which is a huge help there from Atlassian to, let's say, drive what we are doing way further and stuff like that. And then I think it's all about our management and having the backup there.
Yeah, I have to say it was also for us as a management team not easy to have the necessary patience. We had to learn to be patient. You cannot push that too much. You need a motivated team, you need to set the vision, but at the end, you have to be also patient and trust. At the end, it's trust in the team, trust in the teamwork, that the teams define the pace. You take your role as setting the vision and the target, but the team at the end is defining the pace. Secondly, being it's as creative with compliance, that does not mean taking shortcuts. But as you can imagine, big companies, big enterprises have a lot of processes and governance and compliance rules. And navigating through that jungle of rules and regulations is also a task from management side. We took really how to help the team there. Not taking shortcut, but finding the most efficient way through our organizational enterprise jungle to stay compliant, be compliant without taking shortcut. And at the end, it's bringing together a winning team, and our collab art is really, for me, really the reference example. We have others as well, but this is really a nice example where collaboration, teamwork, best team together, working in these 5 pillars, and at the end, really bring innovation to our customers much faster. Bringing cars like the GLC on the road. We have shown the CLA earlier this year, now the GLC in Munich, and we have a entire fleet of cars. We have 40 car launches coming in the next 2 to 3 years. So we have a pipeline filled of products, and that requires really the tools, the platforms that support this productivity or this level of speed and delivery. And therefore, we've set the foundation with that journey. And with that, we want to close the session, end the journey. For now, it's not ended, but end the session. Thank you.